As many of you have discovered now, the universe is vast. So stupidly enormous, we probably would be foolish if we took a break out of our boring lives and just thought about the size of things. That is why many of us don't worry about anything outside of our immediate environment, because our minds are simply not able to think about such things. We know that the universe is full of frightening things you probably would never put into a book for kids if we think like many people, such as scientists, astronauts, and students from stoned universities. If we were to go into its darkest corners, many fascinating and relevant things would be hidden. We still need to show mysteries. The 10 worst things in the world are the following. Welcome to 10 Times Best. We bring you the list of top 10 scariest things in the world. Don't forget to hit subscribe and press the bell icon for regular updates. Number 10 is fear. Fear is alarming, and it's what makes us fearful. It is the planting of hysteria and instilling fear in the body. She is the father of fear and the mother of laughter. Fear shows an enthusiastic reaction to something which is considered frightening or undermining. It's an amazing, disgusting feeling for people. As long as the world itself, fear has been here. It is an instinctual response that lets us understand the danger, and it was vital for our predecessors to live. Whether you thrive with fear or reject it, fear is a major part of your life. Halloween also can dedicate itself explicitly to it. For instance, fear can be legitimate to be tracked down on a faint road alone. For instance, when watching blood and gore movies and feeling afraid of a beast or killer, who is only an entertainer with cosmetics that can provide an incorrect reaction to a circumstance. The reaction to fear begins in the mind, which spreads across the body, which changes the plan of safekeeping or withdrawal. In the region of the mind called the amygdala, the awful reaction begins. This arrangement of almond-molded cores is devoted to an enthusiastic projecting of the mind. The response. Anytime we see a human face with emotion, the amygdala is triggered. This response is expressed more in anger and fear. For example, seeing a predator. Compromising changes cause a terrible reaction in the amygdala that prepares the body for flight or fight. The production of stress hormones also occurs in this portion of the brain. Number 9 is death. Death is the body's perishable function of the brain and cardiovascular system. But that's medical. As I tell you about death is a painful fact we must face. The idea that death is imminent must be acknowledged. Number 8 is clowns. The unmistakable cosmetics and features, the mad and nonsensical jokester, are known to be the natural comic character of the emulet and carnival, whose object is the generous giggling of the movement. The comedian does not, for the most part, like traditional blockheads or court entertainers, perform a set routine defined by broad practical humor, stupid circumstances, and lively physics. The earliest predecessors to the comedian flourished in antiquated Greece and exposed, painted jokers who copied and imitated the actions of the most authentic characters and sometimes sprayed the crowd with nuts as auxiliary figures. In the novel Simulation, a similar comedian was wearing a sharp casket and a complex interwoven robe that filled all the tricks and mistreatments of his sister entertainers. Number 7 is drowning. Death by suffocation when the lungs are filled with water or another substance. Precautions including the use of life jacket and child safety around water will avoid drowning accidents. In less than 1 minute, children can drown. Anyone who drowses and breathes usually cannot seek assistance. Oxygen in the blood can cause the skin to appear blue. For near-drowning cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, is important because complications can be lethal. Number 6 is the height. It's good to be afraid you're getting too high. You can't scale the mountain. But too far away, this can be unreasonable and dangerous. Tell you if, for example, you hesitate to move to your new top spot. That's a phobia. You're just afraid of something, even though it's not that severe. Number 5 is reptile and insects. Reptiles are airborne vertebrates coated in a special skin composed of scales, knob plates, or two. Crocodiles, snakes, lizards, tortoises, and toises are all included. The outer layer of your skin is frequently drained. Your metabolism depends on your environment's temperature. Contrary to mammals and reptiles, reptiles do not keep their internal body temperature stable. They cannot keep warm on a cold day without fur or isolating feathers, and they cannot cool in a hot one with no sweat glands or panting capability. They switch either into the sun or shade if necessary. They become inactive during cooler periods of the year. Reptiles are cold-blooded due to their sluggish metabolism and heat-seeking behavior. Even temperature depends on reptiles. Only boas and pythons are born for young people to live. In a simple nest, the other species placed eggs and leave. 2 days later, the young hatched. During this time, the ground temperature is critical. The number of hatchlings is determined by men or women. In hours before birth, young reptiles will float, walk, and swim. Number 4 is haunted house. A secret house is a building or house sometimes believed to be occupied by deceased spirits who were former tenants or knew of the land. The presence of the mind of the deceased and the impact of violence and traumatic incidents in the history of the building, such as murder, accidental death, or suicide, was attributed by parapsychologists. Many scientific reasons to believe that a house is haunted include misinterpretation of sounds, wakened dreams, suggestions, which naturally occur in structures, and the role of toxic chemicals in hallucinating conditions. A haunted house or ghost home in ghost lore is sometimes viewed as residing in a house or another building by the disincarnated spirits of the deceased, who may have been a former occupant or otherwise linked to the property. Number 3 is darkness. Nyctophobia is an acute night fear or darkness that can cause serious anxiety and depression symptoms. Fear turns into a phobia if it is intense, unreasonable, or affects your everyday life. Fear of darkness also begins in infancy and is thought to be a natural part of development. Fear of darkness is a mutual fear of children or phobia in adults to a different degree. The fear of darkness does not always concern obscurity itself. It can also concern itself with the real or perceived dangers obscured by darkness. Some degree of dark temper is common, especially as a child development phase. Most observers agree that darkness fear is uncommon in an age before 2 years. Number 2 is nightmare. A sleepwalk's a weak dream. Nearly everyone gets them now and then, adults and babies. You may feel afraid, disturbed, or upset. But nightmares aren't true. They can't hurt you. The fear involves suffering as a result of experiences of frightening dreams, nightmares, and night terrors, or negative events in the life that affect these dreams. For example, people with post-traumatized stress disorder, PTSD, frequently experience their trauma in dreams, so often that they try to alleviate these traumatic symptoms using alcohol or other substances. Number 1 is being stranded in the ocean. Many phobias are associated with water bodies, and one of them is Thalassophobia. It refers to a strong and sometimes unjustified fear of the sea. The word Thalassophobia comes from Greek thalassa, which means water or shore. Intense and chronic sea terror is thalassophobia. The fear of being in deep waters, fear of the immense emptiness of the sea, the waves, the marine creatures, and the fear of distance from land can include thalassophobia. While water phobia is the fear of the water, which can occur at times when weather events or at relatively low levels of water occur, thalassophobia is a fear of large, deep, and dangerous bodies of water. Thalassophobia is a fear. Do you find it much scarier now? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to leave us a like, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more great videos like this one. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.